Here at UNSW, we're passionate about research into mental health. We've chosen this as our focus as our entry into Sculptures by the Sea, Look Inside My Mind. This sculpture allows us to look inside the collective mind of men and women who have served in the Australian Defence Force and suffered with post-traumatic stress disorder. At first glance, the sculpture is a 2-metre tall blue head. On closer inspection, you realise there are multiple viewing stations positioned on the skull. Peering into the holes allows you to view a video interpretation of a veteran experiencing PTSD. The video is the result of a number of interviews with veterans sourced through UNSW Canberra and their association with the Australian Defence Force, as well as with researchers and clinicians based at UNSW Sydney. The aim is to provide a platform for engagement and conversation around an important issue in our community.
Post-traumatic stress disorder is a condition that often follows exposure to catastrophic trauma. Human beings seem to have an inbuilt response that helps us to survive in these situations. And after natural disasters and catastrophic events, a lot of people experience nightmares, intrusive reminders, and that response can become chronic and it doesn't subside. There's really a very high occupational risk for our military personnel and also for our first responders.
When I got back from East Timor, which was a highlight of my military career, it also left me with some psychological scars, which over the next 10 or 15 years then developed and became worse to a point where I was no longer able to function.
And when I came back from Afghanistan, I remember my symptoms to be hypervigilant and not very good at maintaining attention.
The impacts of trauma, like PTSD, anxiety and depression, they don't just happen to armed service personnel, they can happen to anyone in society. Being aware that the experiences that you see in this video of having difficulty feeling safe in the world could be happening to the person next to you and you don't know about it.
It creeps up on you. It's not something that, in my case, you recognise overnight. And it's different for everybody.
Increasingly in our society we're starting to have more conversations about anxiety and depression and how common they are and how many people experience them. And there's definitely a link there between trauma and later experience of anxiety and depression. I
remember sitting there at my unit and I couldn't read anything. I couldn't comprehend what was being put in front of me. Almost like I'd hyper-focused and I'd had tunnel vision.
I'm struggling for air. I'm struggling for breath. My body is in absolute pain. All I feel like doing is closing up, but I'm totally exposed.
Everyone deals with stress every day. It's just that my cup was full. So when I get a level of stress, whether it is a discussion that is to challenge me, or I can't find something, it's overflowing my cup. That's when things start feeling extremely overwhelming.
Awareness is really important, and that's something that the Me Too movement has really brought to light. The fact that trauma can happen to anyone, and there's often a lot of shame and silence around it. And we know that shame is actually one of the symptoms of PTSD.
Well, I didn't want to accept it. There is a bit of a stigma there. I didn't feel like I deserved to have such a disorder.
We know that raising awareness is going to be a very good thing because the greatest obstacle we have in really fighting PTSD is people not getting access to help. We still know the majority of people with the condition will not get help. And so what we're always trying to do is get the message out that it's not a sign of weakness, it's a very valid condition, and it's not necessarily a sentence.
The important thing to remember is no matter how much you've been affected by trauma, there are treatments that can have really positive benefits and improve your life and improve your relations with the people around you. You don't have to live with this forever.